series. Show us Pranjal Prabhu what is happening.
Praveen Prabhu is here.
Oh, Hare Krishna, Praveen Prabhu, Dandatram, Jai Shri Prabhupada. I knew. Show us Pranjal Prabhu what is happening. Oh, once again. Yeah, I knew Praveen Prabhu is ready to read. He's longing for the reading session. Ribol.
Yeah, I mean he was almost getting ready to read.
Yes, Prabhu.
Many people are getting ready just for the reading session, I think.
Hare Krishna, Swami Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandatram, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Thank you for joining the reading session, even though you're busy with the yatra.
We are not really busy. Okay, yeah. We are simply wasting time here.
What is happening? What you have done already?
In fact, the temple devotees reached here just a few hours ago. Okay, they are getting ready.
Yes, Prabhu. So which place you're gonna visit next or first?
Tomorrow morning we are going to visit ISKCON uh, for Mangalarti.
Yes, Prabhu. Did you take prasadam already?
We haven't yet.
Hmm.
We had prasad in the morning and afternoon, Prabhu, but we are bogies. Okay, we will have 3 times.
Only 3 times. It's already so much. They gave a huge plate, so I think only one time is like enough for me for the day.
Oh, Pranjal Prabhu is like yogi. He's doing tapasya.
So Divi Krishna Prabhu is also there.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandatram, Jai Shri Prabhupada. Haribol, really nice to see everyone in the reading session.
Also very nice to see you, bro. How are you?
Very good, Prabhu. I wish I would be better if I was in the yatra with you.
Yeah, we also. Same too. In Finland, right, Ram?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. Good.
Okay,
Only
so
for Swami Prabhu will have another yatra. Okay, to Mayapur again.
yes, Prabhu.
Only dedicated to Swami Prabhu.
Everyone must join that time also.
Yes, you have to join. Gaur Shakti Prabhu has to join. Everyone has to. You have to bring all the devotees from Finland, Reunion Island, wherever possible.
Yes, Prabhu. Okay, Prabhu, who wants to chant the Mangalacharan prayers today?
Yes, Prabhu, I can chant.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Om Jnanatiminandasya Jnananjanasaragaya Chaksharunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Sri Chaitanya Manavishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swam Rupa Kadamayam Dandate Sapadantikam Vandeham De Guru Sri Yodhavadagam Namde Gurunvaisnavansya Trirupam Sagrajatam Saganaraganatanvitam Tam Tadeyam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parjana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sagandalita Sri Visakanvitancha He Krishna Karna Sindho Dinavandha Jagatpate Gopes Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate तप्तकांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पत्तानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः श्री नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनि नाम्ने नमस्ते सारस्वते गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य तारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवति उत्तमस्तुते भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। शृण्वतां सुकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तन हृद्यन्तस्थोय भद्राणि विद्रौति सरस्वतां। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवति उत्तमस्तुते भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। Before starting this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of which who is the Prabhu is up Prabhu. For starting this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisance unto the personality of Godhead Narayana and to Nar Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, and to Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Sri Vyasdeva the author. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of truthful devotee, cleanses the cheerful material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed urge to hear his message, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. By regular attendance in the classes of Bhagavatam and by rendering of service of the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to heart is completely vanquished, almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead who is blessed with transcendental songs is established and as an irrevocable fact.
Haribol. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai. Text number 31534. Tam vāmamusya paramasya vikuntabhatu kartum prakristamiha dhīmahi mandadībyam lokannito vrajatamantara bhava drishtya papiya shastraya ime ripavoshya yatra. Tat. Therefore, Vam, unto these two, Amusya of him, Paramasya, the supreme, Vikuntabartu, the Lord of Vaikunta, Kartum, to bestow, Prakrishtam, benefit, Iha, in the matter of this offense, Di Mahi, let us consider, Mantadibhyam, those whose intelligence is not very nice, Lokan, to the material world, Itaha, from this place, Vaikunta, Vrijatam, go, antara bhavaha, duality, drishtya, on account of seeing, papishya, sinful, traya, three, imedis, ripava, enemies, asya, of a living entity, yatra, where, translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Therefore, let us consider how these two contaminated persons should be punished. The punishment should be apt, for thus benefits can eventually be bestowed upon them. For thus what is apt? Appropriate or suitable in the circumstances. Since they find duality in the existence of Vaikuntha life, they are contaminated and should be removed from this place to the material world where the living entities have three kinds of enemies. This is really interesting situation. Because they are gatekeepers and they are like guards, but at the same time they cannot see any enemies. How to be a guard if you cannot distinguish the people? Purport. The reason for pure souls coming into the existential circumstances of the material world, which is considered to be the criminal department of the Supreme Lord, is stated in Bhagavad Gita 7 chapter 27th verse. It is stated that as long as a living entity is pure, he is in complete harmony with the desires of the Supreme Lord. But as soon as he becomes impure, he is in disharmony with the desires of the Lord. By contamination, he is forced to transfer to the material world, where the living entities have three enemies, namely desire, anger, and lust. These three enemies force the living entity to continue material existence, and when one is free from them, he is eligible to enter the kingdom of God. One should not therefore be angry in the absence of an opportunity for sense gratification, and one should not be lusty to acquire more than is necessary. In this verse, it is clearly stated that the two doormen should be sent into the material world where criminals are allowed to reside. Since the basic principles of criminality are sense gratification, anger, and unnecessary lust, persons who are conducted by these three enemies of the living entity are never promoted to Vaikuntha Loka. People should learn Bhagavad Gita and accept the Supreme Person of Godhead, Krishna, as the Lord of everything. They should practice satisfying the senses of the Supreme Lord instead of trying to satisfy their own senses. Training in Krishna consciousness will help one be promoted to Vaikuntha. Text number 35. Tesham mitiritam ubhavadarya goram tam brahmadantamanivaranamashtrabhukai sadyo harerun anucharavurubipyatastat padagrahavapatam atikatarena. Tesham of the four Kumaras, iti thus, iritam uttered, ubau both, doorkeepers, avadaraya understanding, guram terrible, tam that, brahmadandam curse of Brahmana, anivaranam not able to be counteracted, astrapugai by any kind of weapon, sadhya at once, hare of the Supreme Lord, anucharau devotees, uru very much, bibhyata became fearful, tatpadagrahau grasping their feet, apatatam fell down, atikatarena in great anxiety. Translation: when the doormen of Vaikuntha Loka, who were certainly devotees of the Lord, found that they were going to be cursed by the Brahmanas, they at once became very much afraid and fell down at their feet in great anxiety. For a Brahmana's curse cannot be counteracted by any kind of weapon. Purport. Although by chance the doorman committed a mistake by checking the Brahmanas from entering the gate of Vaikuntha, they were at once aware of the gravity of the curse. There are many kinds of offenses, but the greatest offense is to offend a devotee of the Lord. Because the doormen were also devotees of the Lord, they were able to understand their mistake and were terrified when the four Kumaras were ready to curse them. Haribol. Okay, who wants to read? Next.
Yes, Prabhu, may I read?
Yes, Prabhu.
भूम्याद अघोनि भगवद्भिदकारिदन्नो यो नो हरेत यो नो हरेत सुर हीडनमप्यस्थितं मो नुताप कलया भगवति स्मृतिघ्नो मोहो भवेद Brajato the boy, let it be Agnoni for the sinful of Bhagavad Gita by you, Akari, was done. Then the punishment, yes, that which now in relation to us, he Hareth should destroy. Surahedlam disappointing great demigods. Appear certainly a say some unlimited. Not of you, Anutapa, repentance. Kalaya by a little Bhagavat of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Srimatagna, destroying the memory of Maha illusion. Bhavet should be in the foolish seas of life. Too, but now of us, Brajato, who are going down to the material world. After being urged by the sages, the doorman said, "It is quite apt that you have punished us for neglecting to respect sages like you. But we pray that due to your compassion to at our repentance, the illusion of forgetting the Supreme Personality of Godhead will not come upon us as we go progressively downward. Perpetual devotee, any heavy punishment is tolerable, but the one which effects forgetfulness of the Supreme Lord, the doormen who were also devotee could understand the punishment meted out to them because they were conscious of the great offense they had committed by not allowing the sages to enter Vaikuntha Loka. In the lowest species of life, including the animal species, forgetfulness of the Lord is very prominent. The doormen were aware that they were going to criminal department of the middle world, and they expected that they might go to the lost species and forget the Supreme Lord. They prayed, therefore, that this might not happen in their lives, which they were going to accept because of the curse in Bhagavad Gita 16 chapter, verse 20, verse 19 and 20. It is said that those who are enemies of the Lord and his devotee are thrown into the species of abominable life, life after life, and such fools are unable to remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore they continue going down to down. Yes, bro, thank you.
Thank you so much, Shubham Prabhu. Who wants to read next?
Hare Krishna, Dandut Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada. I can read next.
Yes, Prabhu.
Text 37. Stump. Evam tadeva bhagavan aravindanabha swanam vibhudya sad atikramam aryaridya tasmin yayo paramahamsa naha muninam anveshaniya charanau shalayan sahasri. Synonyms: Evam, thus, tada, eva, at that very movement, Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Aravindanabha, with a lotus growing from his navel, Swanam, of his own servants, Vibhudya, learned soul, Sat, to the great sages, Atikramam, the insult, Arya, of the religious, Hridaya, the delight, Tasmin, there, Yayav went, Paramahamsa, recluses, Mahamunim, by the great sages, Anveshaniya, which are worthy to be sought after. Charanau, the two lotus feet. Chalayan, walking. Sahasrit, with the goddess of fortune. Translation: at that very movement, the Lord, who is called Padmanabha, because of the lotus grown from his navel, and who is the delight of the righteous, learn about the insult offered by his own servants to the saints. Accompanied by his spouse, the goddess of fortune, he went to the spot on those very feet that are sought for by reckless and great sages. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord declares.
Sorry, Prabhu.
In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord declares that his devotees cannot be vanquished at any time. The Lord could understand that the quarrel between the doorman and the sages was taking a different turn, and therefore he instantly came out of his place and went to the spot to stop further aggravation, so that his devotees, the doorman, might not be vanquished for good. Text 38. Tam tvagatam pratiritau payekam swapumбhes te chakshataksha vishayam swasamadhibhagyam hamsa shriyor virjanayor shivavayu lolach shubhra tapatra sashikesha rashikaramvam. Synonyms: tam, him, to, but, agatam, coming forward, pratihritta, carried, ayupai, come, the paraphernalia, swapumbhi, by his own associates, te, the great sages Kumaras, achakshata, saw, akshavishayam, now subject matter for seeing, the samadhi bhagyam, visible simply by aesthetic trance, hamsa shriyo, as beautiful as white swans, virjanayo, the chamaras, bunches of white hair, Shivavayu, favorable winds, Lolat, moving, Shubhra, Atapatra, the white umbrella, Shashi, the moon, Keshara, pearls, Shikara, drops, Ambum, water. Translation: the sages, headed by Sanaka Rishi, saw that the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu was formerly only visible within their hearts in ecstatic trance, had now actually become visible to their eyes. As he came forward, accompanied by his own associates, bearing all paraphernalia such as an umbrella and a chamara fan, the white bunches of hair moved very gently, like two swans. And due to their favorable breeze, the pearls garlanding the umbrella also moved, like drops of nectar falling from the white full moon or ice melting due to a gust of wind. Purport: in this verse, we find the word achakshataksha vishayam. The Supreme Lord cannot be seen by ordinary eyes, but he now became visible to the eyesight of the Kumaras. Another significant word is samadhi bhakyam. Meditators who are very fortunate can see the Vishnu form of the Lord within their hearts by following the yogic process. But to see him eye to eye is a different matter. This is only possible for pure devotees. The Kumaras, therefore, upon seeing the Lord coming forward with his associates, who were holding an umbrella and a chamara fan, were struck with wonder that they were seeing the Lord face to face. It is said in the Brahma Samhita that devotees, being elevated in love of God, always see Shyamasundara, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, within their heart. Santas sadeva hridayeshu vilokayanti. Yes. But when they are mature, the same God is visible before them face to face. For ordinary persons, the Lord is not visible. However, when one can understand the significance of his holy name and one engages himself in the devotional service of the Lord, beginning with the tongue by chanting and tasting prasadam, then gradually the Lord reveals himself. Thus, the devotee constantly sees the Lord within his heart, and in a more mature stage, one can see the same Lord directly as we see everything else. Text 39. Krishna prasada sumukham sprihaniya dhama snehāvaloka kalayāridi samprashantam shame pritha urashishobhitaya shriyasvas chudamanim subhagayantam ivatmadrishnyam. Synonyms: Krishna prasada, blessing everyone. Sumukham, auspicious face. Sprihaniya, desirable. Dhama, shelter. Sneha, affection. Avaloka, looking upon. Kalaya, by expansion. Riddhi, within the heart. Samsprishantam, touching Shyame onto the Lord with blackish color. Prathau, broad, Urshi, chest, Shobhitaya, being decorated, Shriya, goddess of fortune, Swa, heaven, heavenly planets, Sudha, Manim, Sumit, Subhagyantam, spreading good fortune, Iva, like Atma, the supreme personality of Godhead, Drishnam, abode. Translation: the Lord is the reservoir of all pleasure. His auspicious presence is meant for everyone's benediction, and his affectionate smiling and glancing touch the core of the heart. The Lord's beautiful bodily color is blackish, and his broad chest is the resting place of the goddess of fortune, who glorifies the entire spiritual world, which is the summit of all heavenly planets. Thus it appeared that the Lord was personally spreading the beauty and good fortune of the spiritual world. Purport. When the Lord came, he was pleased with everyone. Therefore, it is stated here, Krishna Prasada Sumukham. The Lord knew that even the offensive doormen were his pure devotees, although by chance they committed an offense at the feet of other devotees. To commit an offense against a devotee is very dangerous in devotional service. Lord Chaitanya therefore said that an offense to a devotee is just like a mad elephant run loose. When a mad elephant enters a garden, he tramples all the plants. Similarly, an offense onto the feet of a pure devotee murders one's position in devotion. Can you go down? In devotional. What's that? Yeah. Similarly, an offense onto the feet of a pure devotee murders one's position in devotional service. On the part of the Lord, there was no offended mood, because he does not accept any offense created by his sincere devotee. But a devotee should be very cautious of committing offense at the feet of another devotee. The Lord, being equal to all and being especially inclined to his devotee, looked as mercifully at the offenders as at the offended. This attitude of the Lord was due to his unlimited quantity of transcendental qualities. His cheerful attitude towards the devotees was so pleasing and heart touching that his very smiling was attractive for them. That attraction was glorious not only for the higher planets of the material world but beyond for the spiritual world also. Generally, a human being has no idea of what the constitutional position is in the higher material planets, which are far better constituted in regard to all paraphernalia. Yet the Vaikuntha planet is so pleasing and so celestial that it is compared to the middle jewel or locket in a necklace of jewels. In this verse, the word Sprihaniya Dhama indicate that the Lord is the reservoir of all pleasure because he has all the transcendental qualities. Although only some of these are aspired for by persons who hanker after the pleasure of merging in the impersonal Brahman. There are other aspirants who want to associate with the Lord personally and his servants. The Lord is so kind that he gives shelter to everyone, both impersonalists and devotees. He gives shelter to the impersonalist in his impersonal Brahman effulgence, whereas he gives shelter to the devotees in his personal abodes known as the Vaikuntha Lokas. He is especially inclined to his devotee. He touches the core of the heart of the devotee simply by smiling and glancing over him. The Lord is always served in the Vaikuntha Loka by many hundreds and thousands of goddesses of fortune, as stated by the Brahma Samhita, Lakshmi Sahasra Satasambhrama Sevyamanam. In this material world, one is glorified if he is favored even a pinch by the goddess of fortune. So we can simply imagine how glorified is the kingdom. So we can see how glorified is the kingdom of God in the spiritual world, where many hundreds and thousands of goddesses of fortune engage in the direct service of the Lord. Another feature of this verse is that it openly declares where the Vaikuntha Lokas are situated. They are situated as the summit of all the heavenly planets, which are above the sun globe, at the upper limit of the universe, and are known as Satyaloka or Brahmaloka. The spiritual world is situated beyond the universe. Therefore, it is stated here that the spiritual world, Vaikuntha Loka, is the summit of all planetary systems. So I think so here in the purport, Prabhupada was telling that Jay and Vijay, so they were pure devotees for sure, but still then how come they offended another pure devotees, the four Kumaras? Because a pure devotee, he cannot offend another pure devotee, Jay Vijay. So
Yes.
also I read, yeah. So regarding this, I read that it is due to the Yoga Maya of Krishna, because Krishna wanted to manifest pastimes, his pastimes in this material world. Therefore, he made Jay and Vijay as a medium, and they were in the influence of Yoga Maya of Krishna. So there are two, Yoga Maya and Mahamaya. So Yoga Maya is internal potency of Krishna. So this was just like a act, like just like the actors perform the act for the pleasure of Krishna. So it was like that. It has to be understood in this mood, I think.
Yes, Prabhu. This is right.
Yeah. Text 40. पीतां सुखे पृथुनितां विस्फुरन्त्या कञ्चालिभिर्विरुतया वनमालया च वल्गु प्रकोष्ठवलयं विनता सुतांसे विन्यस्तहस्तमितरेण धुनानमब्जम्. Synonyms: Pitam Sukhe, covered with a yellow cloth. Prithu Nitambini, on his large hips. Vishpurantya, shining brightly. Kancha, with a griddle. Atibhi, Alibhi, by the bees. Virutaya, humming. Vanamalaya, with a garland of fresh flowers. Cha, and Valgu, lovely. Prakoshta, wrist. Valayam, bracelets. Vinata Sutta, of Garuda, the son of Vinta Amshe, on the shoulder. Vinasyata, rested. Hastam, one hand. Itarena, with another hand. Dhunanam, being filled. Abjam, a lotus flower. Translation: He was adorned with a girdle that shone brightly on the yellow cloth covering his large hips, and he wore a garland of fresh flowers which was distinguished by humming bees. His lovely wrists were graced with bracelets, and he rested one of his hands on the shoulder of Garuda, his carrier, and twirled a lotus with another hand. Purport. Here is a full description of the personality of Godhead as personally experienced by the sages. The Lord's personal body was covered with yellow colored robes, and his waist was thin. In Vaikuntha, whenever there is a flower garland on the chest of the personality of Godhead or any one of his associates, it is described that the humming bees are there. All these features were very beautiful and attractive for the devotees. One of the Lord's hands rested on his carrier Garuda, and in another hand he twirled a lotus flower. These are personal characteristics of the personality of Godhead Narayan. Text 41. Vidyut Kshipanmakara Mandanarha Gandhasthalonnashamukham Manimatkiritam Durdandasanda Harataparadhya Harena Kandaragate Chakostubhena. Synonyms: Vidyut, lightning. Shipat, outshining. Makara, alligator shape. Kundala, earrings. Mandala, decoration. Arha, as it fits. Gandasthala, cheeks. Unnasa, prominent nose. Mukham, countenance. Mahimat, gem-stud. Kiritam, crown. Dhodanda, of his four stout arms. Sandha, group. Vivare, between. Harata, charming. Paraardhya, by the most precious. Harena. Please go down, Prabhu. Harena, necklace. Kandhara Gatena, adorning his neck. Cha, and Kaustubhena, by the Kaustuba jewel. Translation: His countenance was distinguished by cheeks that enhanced the beauty of his alligator-shaped pendants, which outshone lightning. His nose was prominent, and his head was covered with a gem-studded crown. A charming necklace hung between his stout arms, and his neck was adorned with the gem known by the name Kaustuba. I'll read couple of more verses, then others can continue. Text 42. अत्रोपसृष्टमतिचोष्मितमिन्द्रियाय स्वानां धिया विरचितं बहु सौस्तवाद्यं मह्यं भवस्य भवतां च भजन्तमङ्गं नेमुर्निरीक्ष्य नविरिक्तदृशो मुदाकैः. Synonyms. Atra, here, in the matter of the beauty. Upashritam, curved down. Iti, thus, cha, and utsmita, of her beauty. Indriya, of the goddess of fortune. Swanam, of his own devotees. Dhiya, by intelligence. Virachitam, meditated on. Pahu, Shaustava Adhyam, very beautifully decorated. Mahyam, of me. Bhavasya, of Lord Shiva. Bhavatam, of all of you. Cha, and Bhajatam, worship. Angam, the figure. Nemu, bowed down. Niriksha, after seeing. Na, not. Vitripta, satiated. Drisha, eyes. Muda, joyously. Kai, by their heads. Translation. The exquisite beauty of Narayan, being many times magnified by the intelligence of his devotees, was so attractive that it defeated the pride of the goddess of fortune in being the most beautiful. My dear demigods, the Lord who thus manifested himself is worshipable by me, by Lord Shiva, and by all of you. The sages regarded him with unsatiated eyes and joyously bowed their heads at his lotus feet. Purport. The beauty of the Lord was so enchanting that it could not be sufficiently described. The goddess of fortune is supposed to be the most beautiful sight within the spiritual and material creations of the Lord. She has a sense of being the most beautiful, yet her beauty was defeated when the Lord appeared. In other words, the beauty of the goddesses of fortune is secondary in the presence of the Lord. In the words of Vaishnava poets, it is said that the Lord's beauty is so enchanting that it defeats hundreds and thousands of cupids. He is therefore called Madana Mohana. It is also described that the Lord sometimes becomes mad after the beauty of Radharani. Poets describe that under those circumstances, although Lord Krishna is Madana Mohana, he becomes Madana Daha, or enchanted by the beauty of Radharani. Actually, the Lord's beauty is super excellent, surpassing even the beauty of Lakshmi in Vaikuntha. The devotees of the Lord in the Vaikuntha planets want to see the Lord as the most beautiful, but the devotees in Gokula or Krishna Loka want to see Radharani as more beautiful than Krishna. The adjustment is that the Lord, being Bhaktavatsala, or one who wants to please his devotees, assumes such features so that devotees like Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and other demigods may be pleased. Here also, for the devotee sages, the Kumaras, the Lord appeared in his most beautiful feature, and they continued to see him without satiation and wanted to continue seeing him more and more. Text 43. Oh God, this is one of my most favorite verse and very melodious to sing as well. Text 43. तस्यारविन्दनयनस्य पदारविन्द किञ्जल्कमिश्रतुलसी मकरन्दवायो अन्तर्गतस्वविवरे न चकार तेषां संक्षोभमक्षरजुषाम् अपि चित्ततन्वो. Synonyms. Tasya, of him. Arvinda Nayanasya, of the lotus-eyed Lord. Padarvinda, of the lotus feet. Kinjalaka, with the toes. Mishra, mixed. Tulasi, the tulasi leaves. Makaranda, fragrance. Vayu, breeze. Antargata, entered within. Swavivarena, through the nostrils. Chakara, made. Tesham, of the Kumaras. Sanshobham, agitated for change. Aksharjusham, attached to personal Brahman realization. Api, even though. Chitta Tanvo, in both mind and body. Translation. So this verse says how the four Kumaras got defeated just by smelling the aroma of Tulsi leaf, who was, carrying the fragrance of the lotus feet.
Yes,
Yeah,
Prabhu.
very beautiful verse. Yeah. When the breeze carrying the aroma of tulsi leaves from the toes of the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead entered the nostril of those sages, they experienced a change both in body and mind, even though they were attached to the impersonal Brahman understanding. So actually, this verse says how the four Kumaras got defeated from their Brahman understanding, and they got attached to the personal feature of the God just by smelling the aroma of tulsi leaves.
Yes, Prabhu.
Just by smelling. Yeah. Purport. It appears from this verse that the four Kumaras were impersonalists or protagonists of the philosophy of monism, becoming one with the Lord. But as soon as they saw the Lord's features, their minds changed. In other words, the impersonalist who feel transcendental pleasure in striving to become one with the Lord is defeated when he sees the beautiful transcendental features of the Lord. Because of the fragrance of his lotus feet carried by the air and mixed with the aroma of tulsi, their minds changed. Instead of becoming one with the Supreme Lord, they thought it wise to be devotees. Becoming a servitor of the lotus feet of the Lord is better than becoming one with the Lord. So actually, one point to be noted here: this impersonalism is different from the Shankaracharya's philosophy of impersonalists. That is the Mayavad philosophy, and this is Brahmavad. We say it in Sanskrit. So both are different. Mayavadi are actually Krishna Aparathi. They are offenders to the lotus feet of God. But in contrast to this, this is a Brahmavadi, impersonal realization of God. They want actually the Sayujya Mukti, merging into the effulgence of God. So this is different from Shankaracharya's philosophy.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes. Yeah, any other devotee if they wants to continue? Faribol, Hare Krishna, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Prabhu, could you explain a bit the Brahmavadi and what you were saying right now?
Yes, Prabhu. So actually, here the word is used is impersonalist. So, but we say that Shankaracharya philosophy, it is also impersonal philosophy, but that is actually the Mayavad philosophy. They actually deny the existence of God, actually, Mayavad. So that's why they are Krishna Aparathi. But this is.
Prabhu, nowadays there is some impersonalists like this, like folk Maharaj.
Yeah, Brahmavadi. So actually, the Sukadev Goswami, he was also Brahmavadi. He was into the path of Brahman realization. So we know the three
No,
features of
Prabhu,
God, right?
I was asking, is there some nowadays also?
Yeah, maybe some people are there, but in this Kali Yuga, one, we need to do Nam Sankirtan. This is Kali Yuga, and it is we need to get attached to the personal form of God. Any other processes, they are useless, especially in Kali Yuga. Yeah, and people maybe they are practicing many nonsense things, but no one is pure, Prabhu. The only thing in Kali Yuga is Harinam Sankirtan and no devotional service. Yeah, I don't know the other people who might be practicing, but even at those time it was difficult. In the Sukadev Goswami and the four Kumaras, they were impersonalists, but they got converted into the devotees. The Sukadev Goswami, he also got converted into the, attached to personal form of Lord. So in the Satya Yuga, they got converted, the Dwapar Yuga, and now we are in Kali Yuga, even more degraded than them. So we should attach to the personal form of God and do devotional service, pure devotional service.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. You mean Sayujya Mukti, that is impersonalist here, right?
Yeah. So they were aspiring for Sayujya Mukti. There are four kinds of Mukti, right?
Yes, yes. Yes.
Sayujya, Samipya, Sanityan, Sashti. So Sayujya,
Prabhu,
yeah.
those person who see the Lord in the heart, like heart yogis or Ashtanga yogis, Prabhu, why they are not counted among devotees, Prabhu, because they also sees in heart. And Dhruv Maharaj was also seen in the heart of Lord.
Yes, Dhruv Maharaj, he was chanting Om Namo Narayana. So he was, worshipping Narayana. He was not impersonalist or that kind of thing. Yeah, so he was pure devotee of Krishna. His guru was Narad Muni. So pure devotee of Lord. So Dhruv Maharaj is different. Yeah, he was attached to the personal feature of Lord.
So, like Prabhu, there is no standards for elevation of mukti. Like once you get into Salokya, then you get into Sarupya. Is there like stages of liberation, or what is our aim, Prabhu?
Our aim is, the devotees of God, they don't want even liberation.
Yes,
No,
Prabhu.
yeah, we want to serve Krishna. The lotus Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, "Kita janma hu jathatva das bahirmukha brahma janme nayas." He said that, let me be insect who is your devotee, but I don't want to become even Brahma who is devoid of your devotion. So that is the stature of Bhaktivinoda Thakur and all the devotees, all our acharyas. We don't want even liberation. It is said that the liberation, mukti swayam swanitan mukhi, that is one verse is there, that liberation, he comes to serve the devotee. No, he serves the devotee. We don't aspire liberation, but pure devotees, they are above liberated state. Liberation, it's there, it's counted. Means pure devotees are liberated, but they want something more, the service of Lord, which is even above liberation. Yes, I heard like this.
Yes,
If anyone wants to add, yeah. Hare Krishna.
Five type of liberation. The Sayuja Mukti is most undesirable because there is no service, there is no avenue of service to the Lord. On the other muktis, see this in this verse, it is explained. A pure devotee does not like even to hear about Sayuja Mukti, which inspires him with fear and hatred. Indeed, the pure devotee would rather go to hell than merge into the effulgence of the Lord. And here it is said in the purport. Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati has sung Kaivalyam Narakayate. The impersonalist conception of becoming one with the effulgence of the Lord is exactly like hell. Therefore, of the 5 types of liberation, the first 4, Salokya, Samipya, Sarupya, and Sarshti, are not undesirable because they can be avenues of service to the Lord. They are undesirable, but they are not so undesirable because there can be some service. Nonetheless, a pure devotee of the Lord Krishna rejects even these types of liberation. He aspires only to serve Krishna birth after birth. He is not very interested in stopping the repetition of birth, for he simply desires to serve the Lord even in hellish circumstances. Consequently, the pure devotee hates and fears Sajuja Mukti, merging into the effulgence of the Lord. This merging is due to an offense committed against the transcendental loving service of the Lord. And therefore, it is not at all desirable for a pure devotee. I think this purport was very nice related to this.
Yes. So overall, we only have one goal, that is to serve, and this Sayuja is very undesirable, but the rest can be, even if the rest is God, we can still serve the Lord. That is the conclusion, I see.
We might get other type of liberations by the arrangement of the Lord, but those can be used in service. But merging, it's like suicide. Okay, we can read like few more. Who wants to read?
I can do some verse. Text 44. Teva amushya वदनासिदपद्मकोशम् उद्वीक्ष्य सुन्दरधारधार कुण्डहासं लुब्धाशिष पुनरावेक्ष्य तदीयम् अङ्घ्रि द्वन्द्वं मकारुणमणिश्रयणं Srayanam Nidadyu. They, those sages, way, certainly, Amushya of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vadana, face, Asida, blue, Padma, lotus, Kosham, inside, Udviksha, after looking up, Sundaratara, more beautiful, Adara, lips, Kunda, jasmine, flower, Hasam, smiling, Labda, achieved, Ashisha, aims of life, Puna, again, Aveksha, looking down, Tadiyam, his, Angridondvam, pair of lotus feet, Naga, nails, Aruna, red, Mani, rubies, Srayanam, shelter, Nidadyu, mediated. Translation. The Lord's beautiful face appeared to them like the inside of blue lotus, and the smiling of the Lord appeared to be a blossoming jasmine flower. After seeing the face of the Lord, the sages were fully satisfied, and when they wanted to see him further, they looked upon the nails of his lotus feet, which resembled rubies. Thus they viewed the Lord's transcendental body again and again, and so they finally achieved meditation on the Lord's personal features. Text 45. पुंसां गतिं मृगयताम् इह योगमार्गैर्ध्यानास्पदं बहुमतं नयनाभिरामं पौंषणं वपुर्दर्शयानम् अनन्यसिद्धैर् औत्पत्तिकैः समगृह्णन् युधम् अष्टभोगे. Pumsam, of those persons, Gadim, liberation, Mrgayatam, who are searching after, Iha, here in this world, Yoga Marge, by the process of Ashtanga Yoga, Dhyana Aspadam, object of meditation, Bahu, by the great yogis, Madam, approved, Nayana, eyes, Abhiramam, pleasing, Paumshnam, human, Vabhu, form, Darshayanam, displaying, Ananya, not by others, Siddhai, perfected, Outpattigai, eternally present, Samagranan, praised, Yudam, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is endowed, Ashtabhoge, with 8 kinds of achievement. Translation. This is the form of the Lord which is meditated upon by the followers of the yoga process, and it is pleasing to the yogis in meditation. It is not imaginary, but is factual, as proved by great yogis. The Lord is full in 8 kinds of achievement, but for others these achievements are not possible in full perfection. Purport. The success of the yoga process is very nicely described here. It is specifically mentioned that the form of the Lord as four-handed Narayana is the object of meditation for the followers of Yoga Marga. In the modern age, there are so many so-called yogis who do not target their meditation on the four-handed Narayana form. Some of them try to meditate on something impersonal or void, but that is not approved by the great yogis who follow the standard method. The real Yoga Marga process is to control the senses, sit in a solitary and sanctified place, and meditate on the four-handed form of Narayana, decorated as described in this chapter, as he appeared before the 4 sages. This Narayana form is Krishna's expansion. Therefore, the Krishna consciousness movement, which is now spreading, is the real topmost process of yoga practice. Krishna consciousness is the highest yoga performance by trained devotional yogis. Despite all the allurement of yoga practice, the 8 kinds of yogic perfections are hardly achievable by the common man. But here it is described that the Lord, who appeared before the 4 sages, is himself full of all of 8 of those perfections. The highest yoga marga process is to concentrate the mind 24 hours a day on Krishna. This is called Krishna consciousness. The yoga system, as described in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and Bhagavad Gita, or as recommended in the Patanjali yoga process, is different from the nowadays practiced Hatha yoga, as it is generally understood in the Western countries. Real yoga practice is to control the senses, and after such control is established, to concentrate the mind on the Narayana form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Lord Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, and all the other Vishnu forms, with 4 hands decorated with conch, lotus, club, and wheel, are plenary expansions of Krishna. In Bhagavad Gita, it is recommended that one should meditate upon the form of the Lord. To practice concentration of the mind, one has to sit with the head and back in a straight line, and one must practice in a secluded place, sanctified by a sacred atmosphere. The yogi should observe the rules and regulations of brahmacharya to strictly live a life of self-restraint and celibacy. One cannot practice yoga in a congested city living a life of extravagancy, including unrestricted sex, indulgence, and adultery of the tongue. Yoga practice necessitates controlling the senses, and beginning of sense control is to control the tongue. One who can control the tongue can also have control over the senses. One cannot allow the tongue to take all kinds of forbidden food and drink, and at the same time advance in the practice of yoga. It is very regrettable fact that many unauthorized so-called yogis come to the Western countries and exploit people's inclination towards yoga practice. Such unauthorized yogis even dare to say publicly that one can indulge in the habit of drinking and at the same time practice meditation. This I saw about there was a white guy too, a guru or something. He said like we can take some drinks again and again, no problem. He was preaching like that, and he was actually a famous guy. I forgot his name, but actually this is happening. 5000 years ago, Lord Krishna recommended yoga practice to Arjuna, but Arjuna frankly expressed his inability to follow the stringent rules and regulations of yoga system. One should be very practical in every field of activities and should not waste his valuable time in practicing useless gymnastic feats in the name of yoga. Real yoga is to search out the four-handed supersoul within one's heart and see him perpetually in meditation. Such continued meditation is called samadhi, and the object of this meditation is the four-handed Narayana, with bodily decorations as described in this chapter of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. If, however, one wants to meditate upon something void or impersonal, it will take a very long time before he achieves success in yoga practice. We cannot concentrate our mind on something which is void or impersonal. Real yoga is to fix the mind on the form of the Lord, the four-handed Narayana, who is sitting in everyone's heart. By meditation, one can understand that God is seated within one's heart, even if one does not know it. God is seated within the heart of everyone. He is not only seated in the heart of the human being, but he is also within the heart of cat and dogs. Bhagavad Gita explains this fact by the declaration of the Lord, Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Hriddeshe. The Ishvara is the supreme controller of the world. He is seated in the heart of everyone. He is not only in everyone's heart, but he is also present within the atom. No place is vacant or devoid of the presence of the Lord. That is the statement of Ishopanishad. God is present everywhere, and his right of proprietorship applies to everything. The feature of the Lord by which he is present everywhere is called Paramatma. Atma means the individual soul, and Paramatma means the individual supersoul. Both Atma and Paramatma are individual persons. The difference between Atma and Paramatma is that the Atma or the soul is present only in a particular body, whereas Paramatma is present everywhere. In this connection, the example of the sun is very nice. An individual person may be situated in one place of the sun, even though a similar individual entity is present on the head of every individual person. In Bhagavad Gita, this is explained. Therefore, even though the qualities of all entities, including the Lord, are equal, the supersoul is different from the individual soul by quantitative power of expansion. The Lord or the Supersoul can expand himself into millions of different forms, whereas the individual soul cannot do so. The Supersoul, being seated in everyone's heart, can witness everyone's activities, past, present, and future. In the Upanishads, the Supersoul is described as being seated with the individual soul as friends and witness. As a friend, the Lord is always anxious to get back his friend, the individual soul, and bring him back to Godhead. As a witness, he is the bestower of all benediction, and he endows each individual with the result of his actions. The Supersoul gives the individual soul all facilities to achieve whatever he desires in the material world. Suffering is a reaction to the living entity's propensity to try to lord it over the material world, but the Lord instructs his friend, the individual soul, he is also his son, to give up all other engagements and simply surrender unto him to attain perpetual bliss and an eternal life full of knowledge. This is the last instruction of Bhagavad Gita, the most authorized and widely read book on all varieties of yoga. Thus, the last word of Bhagavad Gita is the last word on yoga. It is stated in Bhagavad Gita that a person who is always absorbed in Krishna consciousness, is the topmost yogi. What is Krishna consciousness? As the individual soul is present by his consciousness throughout his entire body, so the supersoul or Paramatma is present throughout the whole creation by superconsciousness. This superconscious energy is imitated by the individual soul who has limited consciousness. I can understand what is going on within my limited body, but I cannot feel what is going on in another's body. I am present throughout my body by my consciousness, but my consciousness is not present in another's body. The Supersoul or Paramatma, however, being present everywhere and within everyone, is also conscious of everyone's existence. The theory that the soul and the supersoul are one is not acceptable because it is not confirmed by authoritative Vedic literature. The individual soul's consciousness cannot act in superconsciousness. This superconsciousness can be achieved, however, by dovetailing individual consciousness with the consciousness of the Supreme. This dovetailing process is called surrender or Krishna consciousness. From the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, we learn very clearly that Arjuna, in the beginning, did not want to fight with his brothers and relatives, but after understanding Bhagavad Gita, he dovetailed his consciousness with the super consciousness of Krishna. He was then in Krishna consciousness. A person in full Krishna consciousness acts by the dictation of Krishna. In the beginning of Krishna consciousness, dictation is received through the transparent medium of the spiritual master. When one is sufficiently trained and acts in submissive faith and love for Krishna under the direction of the Supreme Master, the dovetailing process becomes more firm and accurate. This stage of devotional service by the devotee in Krishna consciousness is the most perfect stage of the yoga system. At this stage, Krishna or the Supersoul dictates from within, while from without the devotee is helped by the spiritual master, who is the bona fide representative of Krishna. From within, he helps the devotee as Chaitya, for he is seated within the heart of everyone. Understanding that God is seated within everyone's heart is not, however, sufficient. One has to be acquainted with God both from within and without, and one must take dictation from within and without to act in Krishna consciousness. This is the highest perfectional stage of human form of life and topmost perfection of all yoga. For a perfect yogi, there are 8 kinds of super achievements. One can become lighter than air, one can become smaller than atom, one can become bigger than a mountain, one can achieve whatever he desires, one can control like the Lord, and so on. But when one rises to the perfectional stage of receiving dictation from the Lord, that is greater than the stage of material achievements above mentioned. The breathing exercise of the yoga system, which is generally practiced, is just the beginning. Meditation on the Supersoul is just another step forward, but to obtain direct contact with the Supersoul and take dictation from him is the highest perfection stage. The breathing exercise of meditation practice were very difficult even 5000 years ago. Otherwise, Arjuna would not have rejected the proposal of Krishna that he adopt this system. This age of Kali is called the fallen age. In this age, people in general are short living and very slow to understand self realization or spiritual life. They are mostly unfortunate, and therefore, if someone is a little bit interested in self realization, he is likely to be misguided by so many frauds. The only way to realize the perfect stage of yoga is to follow the principles of Bhagavad Gita as practiced by Lord Chaitanya. This is the simplest and highest perfection of yoga practice. Lord Chaitanya demonstrated this Krishna consciousness yoga system in a practical manner simply by chanting the holy name of Krishna as prescribed in the Vedanta, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and many important Puranas. The largest number of Indians follow this yoga process, and in the United States, it is gradually spreading in many cities. It is very easy and practical for this age, especially for those who are serious about success in yoga. No other process of yoga can be successful in this age. The meditation process was possible in the golden age of Satyuga because people in that age used to live for hundreds of thousands of years. If one wants success in practical yoga practice, it is advised that he take to the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, and he will actually feel himself making progress. In Bhagavad Gita, this practice of Krishna consciousness is prescribed as Raja Vidya or the king of all erudition. Those who have taken to the most sublime Bhakti Yoga system who practice devotional service in transcendental love of Krishna can testify to its happy and easy execution. The four sages Sanaga, Sanadana, Sanandana, and Sanatkumara also became attracted by the features of the Lord and the transcendental aroma of the dust of his lotus feet, as already described in verse 43. Yoga necessitates controlling the senses, and Bhakti Yoga or Krishna consciousness is the process of purifying the senses. When the senses are purified, they are automatically controlled. One cannot stop the activities of the senses by artificial means, but if one purifies the senses by engaging in the service of the Lord, the senses cannot only be controlled from rubbish engagement, but they can be engaged in the Lord's transcendental service as aspired to by the four sages Sanaga, Sanadana, Sanandana, and Sanatkumara. Krishna consciousness is not, therefore, a manufactured concoction of the speculative mind. It is the process enjoyed in Bhagavad Gita. Manmana bhava mad bhakto mad yaji mam namaskuru. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, 34th. Hare Krishna.
Haribol. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Siddharth Prabhu, Dandar Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Prabhupada, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Prabhu, can you read 2 verses?
Of course.
Haribol. Thank you.
Text 46. Kumara Vacha. Yontara hito hridi gato pi duratmananam tvam. Sodvaya no nayana moolam ananta radhaha. Yarhi eva karna vivaranena guhyam gatana pitranuvarinata raha bhavad udbhavena. Kumara Vacha. The Kumara said, Yaha, he who antarhitaha, not manifested, hriti, in the heart, gataha, is seated, api, even though, duratmananam, to the rascals, tvam, you, saha, he, adya, today, eva, certainly, naha, offers, naina, moolam, face to face, ananta, O unlimited one, radhaha, attained, yarhi, when, eva, certainly, Karana Vivaranena, through the years, Guhyam, Guham, intelligence, Gataha, have attained, Naha, our Pitra, by our father, Anuvarenita, described, Raha, mysteries, Bhavat Udbhavena, by your appearance. Translation. The Kumara said, Our dear Lord, you're not manifested to the rascals even though you're seated within the heart of everyone. But as far as we are concerned, we see you face to face. Although you are unlimited, these statements we have heard about you from our father, Brahma, through the years have now been actually realized by your kind appearance. Purport. The so-called yogis who concentrate their mind or meditate upon the impersonal or void are described here. This verse of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam describes persons who are expected to be very expert yogis engaged in meditation who do not find the supreme personality of Godhead who is seated within the heart. These persons are described here as Duratma, which means a person who has very crooked heart or a less intelligent person, this opposite to a Mahatma, which means one who has a broad heart. Those so-called yogis who, although engaged in meditation, are not broad-hearted, cannot find the four-handed Narayana form, even though he is seated within their hearts. Although the first realization of the supreme absolute truth is impersonal Brahman, one should not remain satisfied with experiencing the impersonal effulgence of the Supreme Lord. In the Ishopanishad also, the devotee prays that the glaring effulgence of Brahman may be removed from his eyes so that he can see the real personal feature of the Lord and thus satisfying himself fully. Similarly, although the Lord is not visible in the beginning because of his glaring bodily effulgence, if a devotee sincerely wants to see him, the Lord is revealed to him. It is said in Bhagavad Gita that the Lord cannot be seen by our imperfect eyes. He cannot be heard by our imperfect ears, and he cannot be experienced by our imperfect senses. But if one engages in devotional service with faith and devotion, then God reveals himself. Here, the four sages, Sanat Kumara, Sanatana, Sananandana, and Sanaka are described as actually sincere devotees. Although they had heard from their father Brahma about the personal feature of the Lord, only the impersonal feature, Brahman, was revealed to them. But because they were sincerely searching for the Lord, they finally saw his personal feature directly which corresponded with the description given by their father. They thus became fully satisfied. Here, they express their gratitude that although they were foolish impersonalists in the beginning, by the grace of the Lord, they could now have the good fortune to see his personal feature. Another significant aspect of this verse is that the sages describe their experience of hearing from their father, Brahma, who was born of the Lord directly. In other words, the reciprocal succession from the Lord to Brahma, and from Brahma to Narada, and from Narada to Vyasa, and so on is accepted here. Because the Kumaras were sons of Brahma, they had the opportunity to learn Vedic knowledge from the disciplic succession of Brahma. And therefore, in spite of their impersonalist beginnings, they became in the end direct seers of the personal feature of the Lord. Text 47. Tam tvam vidama bhagwan param atma tatvam satvena samprati ratim rachantam esham yatte nulapa vititair dhrida bhakti yogair udgranthayo hridar vidur munayo viragaha tam, him, tvam, you, Vidama, we know, Bhagwan, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, Param, the Supreme, Atma Tattvam, Absolute Truth, Satvena, by your form of pure goodness, Samprati, now, Ratim, love of God, Rachantam, creating, Esham, of all of them, Yat, which they, your, Anutlapa, mercy, Anutapa, mercy, Vidite, understood, Drida, unflinching, Bhakti Yogai, through devotional service, Udgranthaya, without attachment, free from material bondage, Riddhi, in the heart, Viduhu, understood, Munayaha, great sages, Viragaha, not interested in material life. Translation. We know that you are the supreme absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, who manifests his transcendental form in the uncontaminated mode of pure goodness. This transcendental eternal form of your personality can be understood only by your mercy. Through unflinching devotional service by great sages whose hearts have been purified in the devotional way. Purport. The absolute truth can be understood in three features: impersonal Brahman, localized Paramatma, and Bhagwan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Here it is admitted that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the last word in understanding the absolute truth. Even though the four Kumaras were instructed by their great learned father, Brahma, they could not actually understand the absolute truth. They could only understand the supreme absolute truth when they personally saw the personality of Godhead with their own eyes. In other words, if one sees or understands the supreme personality of Godhead, the other two features of the absolute truth, namely impersonal Brahman and localized Paramatma, are also automatically understood. Therefore, the Kumaras confirm you are the ultimate absolute truth. The impersonalists may argue that since the supreme personality of Godhead was so nicely decorated, he is therefore not the absolute truth. But here it is confirmed that all the variegatedness of the absolute platform is constituted of Shuddha Sattva, pure goodness. In the material world, any quality, goodness, passion, or ignorance is contaminated. Even the quality of goodness here in the material world is not free from tinges of passion and ignorance. But in the transcendental world, only pure goodness without any tinge of passion or ignorance exists. Therefore, the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his variegated pastimes and paraphernalia are all pure sattva are all pure sattva guna. Such variegatedness is in pure goodness is exhibited eternally by the Lord for the satisfaction of the devotee. The devotee does not want to see the Supreme Personality of Absolute Truth in voidness or impersonalism. In one sense, absolute transcendental variegatedness is only meant for the devotees, not for others. Because this distinct feature of transcendental variegatedness can be understood only by the mercy of the Supreme Lord. And not by mental speculation or the ascending process. It is said that one can understand the supreme personality of Godhead when he is even slightly favored by him. Otherwise, without his mercy, a man may speculate for thousands of years and not understand what is actually the absolute truth. This mercy can be perceived by the devotee when he is completely free from contamination. It is stated, therefore, that only when all contamination is rooted out and the devotee is completely detached from the material attractions can he receive this mercy of the Lord.
Carry ball, one more, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. Natyantikam viganan viganayanti apite prasadam kim kim anyad arpila bhayam dhruva unayaste yegnatvad अंघ्रि शरण भवतः कतयः कीर्तनातीत यशसः कुशलारसज्ञा not atyantikam liberation vigananyati care for api apite those prasadam benedictions kimu what to speak anya other material happiness arpita given bhayam fearfulness ruvaha of the eyebrows unayai by the raising te your ye those devotees anga O Supreme Personality of Godhead, Tvat, your, Angri, lotus feet, Sharana, who have taken shelter, Bhavataha, your, Kathayaha, narrations, Kirtanaya, worth chanting, Tirtha, pure, Yashasaha, glories, Kushalaha, very Kushalaha, Kushalaha, very expert. Rasagnaha knows of the mellows of humors. Translations. Persons who are very expert and most intelligent in understanding things as they engage in hearing narrations of the auspicious activities and pastimes of the Lord, which are worth chanting and worth hearing. Such persons do not care even for the highest material benediction, namely liberation, to say nothing of other less important benedictions like the material happiness of the heavenly kingdom. Purport. The transcendental bliss enjoyed by devotees of the Lord is completely different from the material happiness enjoyed by less intelligent persons. The less intelligent persons in the material world are engaged by the four principles of benediction called dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. Generally, they prefer to take to religious life to achieve some material benediction, the purpose of which is to satisfy the senses. When, by that process, they become confused or frustrated in fulfilling the maximum amount of sense enjoyment, they try to become one with the Supreme, which is, according to their conception, mukti or liberation. There are 5 kinds of liberation, the least important of which is called sayudhya, to become one with the Supreme. Devotees don't care for such liberation because they are actually intelligent, nor are they inclined to accept any of the other 4 kinds of liberation, namely to live on the same planet as the Lord, to live with Him side by side as an associate, to have the same opulence and to attain the same bodily features. They are concerned only with glorifying the Supreme Lord and His auspicious activities. Pure devotional service is Shravanam Kirtanam. Pure devotees who take transcendental pleasure in hearing and in hearing and in hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord, do not care for any kind of liberation. Even if they are offered the five liberations, they refuse to accept them. As stated in the Bhagavatam, in the third canto, materialistic persons aspire for the sense enjoyment of heavenly pleasure in the heavenly kingdom, but devotees reject such material pleasure at once. The devotee does not even care for the post of Indra. A devotee knows that any pleasurable material position is subject to be annihilated at a certain point. Even if one reaches the post of Indra, Chandra, or any other demigod, he must be dissolved at a certain stage. A devotee is never interested in such temporary pleasure. From Vedic scriptures, it is understood that sometimes even Brahma and Indra fall down, but a devotee in the transcendental abode of the Lord never falls. This transcendental stage of life in which one feels transcendental pleasure is hearing the Lord's pastimes. Is also recommended by Lord Chaitanya. When Lord Chaitanya was talking with Ramananda Raya, there were varieties of suggestions offered by Ramananda regarding spiritual realization. But Lord Chaitanya rejected all but one. That one should hear the glories of the Lord in association with pure devotees. That is acceptable for everyone, especially in this age. One should engage him. One should engage himself in hearing from pure devotees about the activities of the Lord. That is considered the supreme benediction for mankind.
Prabhu, can I read the last two?
Oh, yes, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Siddharth Prabhu.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Kamam Kamam bhavasva vijnane nirayesu nastash petolivat yadi palyornita vataschanas tulasi yadi te nikrisubha puryete kuntane yadi karnaranga samskama Chennai by one's affiliation in personal arts that let it be Cheta means live like bills yearly if no maybe the yacht over the year. But your lotus sweet from the engaged watcher Varsha and or our see what the Tulsi see the if they are angry at your lotus sweet show or beautified Puriyata I feel they are not may transcendental qualities yet if karma run through the whole of the years. Translating the preparation basis of the essential translation. O Lord, we pray that you let us born, let us be born in any foolish condition of life just as long as our hearts are not for a living rest in the service of the lotus feet. Our words are made beautiful by speaking our activities, just as those things are beautified when offered into lotus feet. And as long as our ears are always filled with the chanting of the transcendental qualities. Purport the four sages now offer their humility to the personality of God because of their having been haughty in cursing the other two devotees of the Lord. Jaya and Vijay, the two doorkeepers who checked them from entering the Vaikuntha planet, were certainly offenders, but as Vaishnavas, the four sages should not have cursed them in anger. After the incident, they became conscious that they had done wrong by cursing the devotees of the Lord, and they prayed to the Lord that even in the hellish condition of we can scroll down. Life, their minds might not be distracted from the engagement of service to the lotus feet of the Lord Maharaj. Those who are devoted of the Lord are not afraid in any condition of life provided this construct of Narayan Para, or those who are devotees of Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Pipyati. They are not afraid of entering into a hellish condition of for since they serve the Lord, heaven or hell in this same in this immaterial world, material life, both heaven and hell are one and the same because they are material. In each place there is no engagement in Lord service. Therefore, those who are engaged in the service of the Lord see no distinction between heaven and hell. It is only the materialists who prefer one to the other. These four devotees prayed to the Lord that although they might go to hell because they had cursed devotees, they might not forget the service of the Lord. The transcendental living service of the Lord is performed in three ways: with the body, with the mind, and with words. Here the sages pray that they may always be engaged in glorifying the Supreme Lord. One may speak very nicely with ornamental language, or one may be expert at controlled. Hmm, where is it, Prabhu?
Prabhu, I also lost the place. What was
It's
the
the
last?
last third.
You can
Third
start from the
line of the
Yes,
first
yes.
line, Prabhu. It's fine.
Yes, Prabhu. The transcendental loving service of the Lord is performed in three ways: with the body, with the mind, and with words. Here the sages pray that their words may always be engaged in glorifying the Supreme Lord. One may speak very nicely with ornamental language, or one may be expert at controlled grammatical presentation. But if one's words are not engaged in the service of the Lord, they have no flavor and no actual use. The example is given here of tulsi leaves. The tulsi leaf is very useful even from the medicinal or antiseptic point of view. It is considered sacred and is offered the latest feet of the Lord. The tulsi leaf has numerous good qualities, but if it were not offered to the lotus feet of the Lord, tulsi could not be of much value or importance. Similarly, one may speak very nicely from the rhetorical or grammatical point of view, which may be very much appreciated by a materialistic audience, but if one's words are not offered to the service of the Lord, they are useless. The holes of the ears are very small and can be filled with any insignificant sound. So how can they receive as great a vibration as the glorification of the Lord? The answer is that the holes of the ears are like the sky. The sky can never be filled up. The quality of ear is such that one may go on pouring in vibration of various kinds, yet it is capable of receiving more and more vibration. A devotee is not afraid of going to hell if he has the opportunity to hear the glories of God constantly. This is the advantage of chanting the Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Hare. One may be put in any condition, but God gives him the prerogative to chant Hare Krishna in any condition of life. If one person chanting, he will never be unhappy. Text 50. Pratuschakartayat idam purukita rupam tena nirvritam avapur alam trishana tasma idam bhagavate nam idhema yonatmanam durtayo nirvanpati Pradushchakarta, you have manifested yet which Idam this Purukruta, very greatly worshipped Pupam, general Fontana by that form. Isha, O Lord, Nirvitam, satisfaction of Vapu, obtained Alam so much pleasure, vision now or Tasmai unto him, Idam this Bhagavate, unto the Supreme Personality God, among obeisances. It only with him, let us offer you of those who are less intelligent, though they cannot be seen, Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Godhead Pratita, he has been seen by us. Translation, O Lord, we therefore for a respectful obeisance to you and to your eternal form as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which you have so kindly manifested before us. Your eternal form cannot be seen by unfortunate, less intelligent people, but we are so much satisfied in our mind and vision to see it purport. The four sages were impersonalist in the beginning of their spiritual life, but afterwards, by the grace of their Father and spiritual master Brahma, they understood the eternal spiritual form of the Lord and felt completely satisfied. In other words, the transcendentalist describes the impersonal Brahman, a localized Paramatma, are not fully satisfied and still anchor for more. Even if they are satisfied in their mind, still transcendental, their eyes are not satisfied. But as soon as persons come to realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they are satisfied in all respects. In other words, they become devotees and want to see the form of the Lord continually. It is confirmed in the Brahma Samhita that one who has developed transcendental love for Krishna by smearing his eyes with ointment of love constantly sees constantly the eternal form of the Lord. The particular word used in this connection, Atmana, Anand signifies those who have no control over the mind and senses and who therefore speculate and want to become one with the Lord. Such persons cannot have the pleasure of seeing the eternal form of the Lord. For the impersonalists and the so-called yogis, the Lord is always living by the pattern of the yoga man. Bhagavad Gita says that even when Lord Krishna was seen by everyone, while he was present on the surface of the earth, the impersonalists and the so-called yogis could not see him because they were devoid of devotional eyesight. The theory of the impersonalists and the so-called yogis is that the Supreme Lord assumes a particular form when he comes in touch with Maya, although actually he has no form. This very conception of the impersonalists and so-called yogis checks them from seeing the Supreme Personality Godhead as he is. The Lord, therefore, is always beyond the sight of such non-devotees. The four sages felt so much obliged to the Lord that they offered their respectful obeisances unto him again and again. Thus, in the Bhaktivedanta purport of the third canto, 10th chapter of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam entitled Description of the Kingdom.
Ribo, thank you so much, Prabhu. Okay, now we go to the six Astakam prayers. Cheto-darpanam bhavamahadavagninirvapanam Shreyah Kairavachandrika Vitaranam Vidyavadu Jivanam Anandam Buddhivardhanam Pratipadam Purnamritasvadanam Sarvatmasnapanam Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam.
Hare Krishna, bro. I'm sorry to interrupt. Can we follow the yesterday's format? Gaur Shakti Prabhu told maybe you can chant the whole Shikshastakam prayer today, and then other devotees tomorrow onwards, like that.
I thought he meant only like this. I thought he meant the 10 offenses, but we can also do with Shikshastakam.
I can
Yes,
chant
we
the
can
entire
do both.
Shikshastakam, Prabhu, but I don't know the translation. So we can start off with just a prayer now.
Yes, Prabhu.
So should I chant the entire thing?
Yes, Prabhu, you can chant.
Thank you.
So
चेतोदर्पणमार्जनं भवमहादावाग्निर्वापनं श्रेयकैरवचन्द्रिका वितरणं विद्यावधू जीवनम् आनन्दबुद्धिवर्धनं प्रतिपदं पूर्णामृतस्वादनं सर्वात्मस्नपनं परं विजयते श्रीकृष्णसङ्कीर्तनं नामकारी बहुधा निजसर्वशक्तिः तत्रापि ता नियमिता स्मरणेन कालः एतादृशी तव कृपा भगवन् ममापि दुर्दैवमिदृशम् इह जानीनानुरागः तृणादपि सुनिचेन तरोरपि सहिष्णुना अमानेन मानदेन कीर्तनीय सदा हरिः न धनं न जनं न सुन्दरं कविता जगदीश कामये मम जन्मनि जन्मनेश्वरि भवताद् भक्तरहेतुकी त्वयि अयि नन्दतनुजा किङ्करं पतिता मां विषमे भवाम्बुधौ कृपया तव पादपङ्कजं शतदूलसदृश विचिन्तय नयनं गलतशुधारया वदनं गद्गदहृदया गिरा पुलके निशित वपुः तव नाम ग्रहेण भविष्यति Vishyati Yugayitam Nimeshena Chakshusha Pravarshayitam Shunyayitam Jagat Sarva Govinda Virane Name Ashlishya Va Padaratam Pinashtamam Atarshanan Marmahatam Karotu Va Yatha Tatha Vidadhati Lampato Matprana Sunaya Manaparaha.
Haribo, thank you so much, Prabhu. Okay, then the translation. You want to read the whole translation?
We can take chances in translation, Prabhu.
Glory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death. The Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious.
O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by chanting your holy names. But I'm so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them.
One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly.
O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your costless devotional service birth after birth.
O son of
O
Maharaj,
son,
I am your eternal servitor. Somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet.
O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love constantly when I chant your holy name? When will the voice choke up and when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name?
O Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence.
I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly in his embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord unconditionally.
Haribol, Shri Siksastakam ki jai. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. Okay, now Dheeraj Prabhu can read the 10 offenses.
Yes, Prabhu. Bahu janma kare adi shavana kirtan, tabu tana pave Krishna pade prematan. If one is infested with the 10 offenses in the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, despite of his endeavor to chant the holy name for many births, he will not get the love of Godhead. That is the ultimate goal of his chanting. The 10 offenses for chanting the holy name of the Lord are as follows. First, to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the God. Second, to consider the names of demigods like you can no I will try to
You can
say
hide
it
it,
from
Sani Prabhu. He wants to say it. Let him speak.
yeah. A second offense, to consider the name of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be independent or to be independent of the name of Lord Vishnu. Third offense, to disobey the orders of spiritual master. Fourth offense, to blaspheme the Vedic literatures in pursuance of the Vedic version. Fifth offense, to consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be an imagination. Sixth offense, to give some interpretation to the holy name of the Lord. Seventh offense, to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name. Eighth offense, to consider chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities mentioned in Vedas as fruitive activities, karma kanda. Ninth offense, to instruct a faithless person about the glories of holy name. 10th offense is to maintain material material attachment. I don't remember exactly.
Even after
10th
understanding
offense
so
is to
many
not
instructions
have
also.
10th offense is to not have complete faith in chanting and to maintain material attachment even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to quickly achieve desired success. Krishna Prem.
Very
Vancha
good.
kalpatarubhyasya. Yeah.
Sure. Yes, Prabhu. Very
Let
nice.
us offer our respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord who are like desired tree, and they fulfill all the desires, and they are full of all compassionate for the fallen conditioned souls. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubheva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavabhyo
Namo Namah. Anantapati Vishnu ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai.
Sure.
Sani Prabhu, could you just tell me the routine one more time? Like what Prabhu did now was to read it all by himself. So for Shikshastakam as well, do I have to like does a devotee have to read the entire chant the entire thing in Sanskrit and then give the translation as well?
If one wants to try the translation, he can, but I think that it's not mandatory. We can do just the Sanskrit.
The individual part, like I mean, switching with taking turns.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. Because this is also a nice way to have us all get better. So tomorrow I'll try reciting the first two verses of the English translation of Shikshastakam.
Yes, Prabhu. Okay.
Right. So you can just let me know, Prabhu, if anyone else wants to take a turn tomorrow.
Yes, Prabhu. Rushikesh Prabhu wanted to read the 10 offenses tomorrow.
Okay, cool, Prabhu. Prabhu, you can let me know, right? I mean, tomorrow, if anyone wants to read the Shikshastakam, you can go ahead, or else I can take the chance. Okay, tomorrow we have Ishta Goshti. We won't have reading session, right?
Yeah, Mondays next time.
Monday. Okay, cool. So Monday I'll start off with Shikshastakam and the first two verses of the English translation.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah, that sounds good.
All right, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for your association. See you
Thank you,
again.
Swami Prabhu, for the opportunity.
Join the Ishta Goshti session.